Seattle, Washington, the Emerald City. Rain-soaked streets, coffee culture, tech innovation. But beneath the progressive facade and natural beauty lies a history stained with blood. A dark legacy written by some of the most notorious female criminals in American history. From serial killers to poisoners, these women turned the Pacific Northwest into their hunting ground. Welcome to Shattered Crime. Today, we're exposing the full list of Washington State's most dangerous women. These aren't urban legends. These are real killers who poisoned, starved, manipulated, and murdered. Real victims whose lives were shattered forever. From death row inmates to convicted serial killers, these 8 cases span over a century of terror. First case, Donna Perry. The river killer, 3 bodies, 3 women, 3 bullets. Between February 22nd and May 15th, 1990, 3 women working as prostitutes were murdered in Spokane, Washington. Their naked bodies were dumped near the Spokane River like garbage. For over 2 decades, investigators believed serial killer Robert Lee Yates was responsible. They were wrong. The real killer was someone far more unexpected. Donna Perry was born Douglas R. Perry. Assigned male at birth, she underwent gender affirmation surgery in Thailand in 2000. Her childhood was marked by horror, alleged sexual abuse by her father from age 4 until his death when she was 7. By 1974, she had a criminal record that would span decades: weapons possession, reckless endangerment, soliciting prostitutes, and more. In February 1990, the killing began. Yolanda Sapp, 26, was shot and left near the river. On March 25th, Nikki Lowe, 34, was found dead in the same area. On May 15th, Kathleen Brisbois, 38, became the 3rd victim. All 3 were nude. All 3 had been shot. All 3 were sex workers, vulnerable women no one was looking for. For years, the murders remained unsolved. Then, in March 2012, Perry was convicted on firearms possession charges. Her DNA was entered into a national database. The match came back almost immediately. The DNA from the 1990 murders belonged to Douglas Perry, now Donna Perry. During interrogation, Perry made a chilling admission. She told police that her gender affirmation surgery in 2000 was a permanent way to control violence. The implication was clear. Douglas had been the killer, and Donna was trying to suppress him. Perry's trial began on June 9, 2017. The defense argued that DNA only proved presence, not guilt, and claimed that Douglas Perry may have committed the murders before the transition. Prosecutors countered that the surgery may have been an attempt to avoid suspicion. The jury didn't buy it. On July 24, 2017, Donna Perry was convicted on all 3 counts of aggravated first-degree murder. Perry was sentenced to 3 life terms without the possibility of parole. She is currently incarcerated at the Washington Corrections Center for Women in Gig Harbor, Washington. In a jailhouse confession to a cellmate in the 1990s, she allegedly admitted to killing up to 9 prostitutes. 3 murders are confirmed. The others remain unsolved. Yolanda, Nikki, and Kathleen deserved better. They deserved safety. They deserved justice. Decades late, they finally got it. Second case, Stella Nickell, the Excedrin poisoner. A bottle of Excedrin, a lethal dose of cyanide, 2 innocent lives. On June 5, 1986, Bruce Nickell, 52, collapsed and died at his home in Auburn, Washington. Doctors initially ruled it natural causes. 6 days later, on June 11th, Sue Snow, a 40-year-old bank manager and complete stranger, died after taking Excedrin. When the medical examiner detected the bitter almond scent of cyanide, an investigation was launched that would expose one of the most calculating murders in American history. Stella Nickell was born Stella Maudine Stevenson, on August 7, 1943, in Colton, Oregon. She grew up poor and accumulated a criminal record early. Fraud in 1968, child abuse in 1969, forgery in 1971. In 1976, she married Bruce Nickel. But their marriage deteriorated after Bruce quit drinking, a lifestyle change Stella resented deeply. Stella's plan was coldly calculated. She researched cyanide and poisons at the local library. Her fingerprints were later found on books about toxic substances. She purchased Algae Destroyer, a common aquarium product containing cyanide. Then she laced multiple Excedrin capsules with the deadly poison, placing them back into store-bought bottles. Bruce was the target. He died first. Stella tried to collect on his life insurance, nearly $76,000 in total, with an additional $100,000 payout if his death was ruled accidental. But there was a problem. The insurance company initially denied the claim because his death appeared natural. That's when Stella made a fatal mistake. To force the insurance payout, she needed Bruce's death to be classified as murder or accident, not natural causes. So she planted additional poisoned bottles in stores, knowing someone else would die. Sue Snow, an innocent woman with no connection to Stella, became the sacrificial victim. When Sue died, the cyanide was discovered, and investigators re-examined Bruce's death. FBI forensic analysis found traces of Algae Destroyer in the poisoned capsules, a chemical signature linking them directly to Stella's home. Library records confirmed she had researched poisons. Most damning of all, her own daughter testified that Stella had talked about wanting Bruce dead. Stella Nickel was arrested on December 9, 1987. Her trial began in April 1988. On May 9, 1988, she was convicted on 5 federal counts of product tampering under 18 U.S.C. Paragraph 1365, the first federal prosecution under laws created after the 1982 Tylenol murders. She was sentenced to 2 concurrent 90-year terms for the deaths, plus 3 additional 10-year terms for other tampering charges. As of 2025, Stella Nickel remains incarcerated at FCY Hazleton in West Virginia. She petitioned for compassionate release in 2022 due to health issues. The request was denied. She will be eligible for release on March 7, 2043, when she is 99 years old. 2 people are dead because of her greed. Sue Snow never knew Stella Nickel. She died simply because Stella needed a body count. Third case, Linda Hazard. The starvation doctor, Starvation Heights. That's what locals called it. In the early 1900s, a sanitarium operated in Olalla, on Washington's Kitsap Peninsula. Its official name was Wilderness Heights. But the community knew the truth. People went there to be cured, and they came out dead. Or not at all. The woman behind this house of horrors was Linda Hazard, a con artist masquerading as a doctor who killed at least 15 patients through systematic starvation. Linda Laura Burfield was born on December 18, 1867, in Carver, Minnesota. She had no medical degree, but Washington's alternative medicine laws allowed her to practice as a fasting specialist. She authored books promoting starvation as a cure-all: Fasting for the Cure of Disease, 1908, Diet in Disease, 1917, and Scientific Fasting, 1927. Her methods were brutal. Patients at Wilderness Heights were subjected to extreme fasting, sometimes consuming nothing but small amounts of tomato juice, asparagus juice, or orange juice for weeks. They endured hours-long enemas, physical abuse. Linda pummeled their bodies, claiming it aided digestion. Many patients weighed less than 50 pounds when they died. One victim, Earl Edward Erdman, kept a detailed diary documenting his progressive starvation under Linda's care. He died in 1910 after weeks on her extreme regimen. Another victim, Claire Williamson, a wealthy British heiress, weighed under 50 pounds at her death in 1912. Linda forged Claire's will, stole her valuables, and tried to claim her estate. Claire's sister, Dorothea Williamson, survived the sanitarium and testified against Linda. The trial in 1912 exposed the full horror of Wilderness Heights. Linda was convicted of manslaughter and forgery. She was sentenced to 2 to 20 years in prison, but served only 2 years before being paroled in 1915. In 1916, Linda received a full pardon on the condition that she relocate to New Zealand. She did, but continued practicing her deadly fasting treatments there until 1920. Then she returned to Washington and opened another sanitarium. The facility burned down in 1935. Linda never stopped believing in her methods. On June 24, 1938, Linda Hazzard died at the age of 70. The cause of death? Starvation. She had subjected herself to her own fasting regimen, and it killed her. The irony was not lost on anyone. At least 15 people died under her care. She profited from their deaths, stole their money, and forged their wills. She served 2 years. She was pardoned, and she was allowed to kill again. Fourth case, Barbara Opel, the murder mastermind. She didn't pull the trigger. She didn't swing the bat. But make no mistake, Barbara Opel was a killer. On April 13, 2001, in Washington State, 64-year-old Jerry Dwayne Hyman was brutally murdered in his own home. He was terminally ill, living with his 89-year-old mother. Barbara Opel was their live-in caretaker, and she orchestrated his murder using a team of teenagers, including her own 13-year-old daughter. Barbara was born on May 16, 1963. By 2001, she was living with Jerry Hyman, caring for him and his elderly mother. She had access to the home, she had access to his finances, and she had a plan: steal $40,000 and disappear. But Jerry stood in the way. So Barbara decided he had to die. Barbara recruited 5 teenagers to commit the murder. She paid Kyle Boston $220. She paid her 13-year-old daughter Heather Opel and Heather's 13-year-old cousin approximately $100. She gave 17-year-old Jeffrey Grote a car. She instructed her 2 other children, ages 7 and 11, to clean up after the killing. On April 13, 2001, the teenagers ambushed Jerry Hyman. They attacked him with knives and baseball bats, beating him to death in a frenzy of violence. Barbara stayed away, creating an alibi. 8 days later, Jerry's body was discovered in a shallow grave approximately 10 miles from his home. Police quickly unraveled the conspiracy. The teenagers confessed. Barbara Opel was arrested and charged with aggravated first-degree murder. At trial, she denied intending to kill Jerry, though multiple witnesses testified she had openly expressed a desire for his death. The jury convicted her. But when it came time to decide her sentence, they could not unanimously agree on the death penalty. Barbara Opel was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Her daughter, Heather Opel, was sentenced to life with a 22-year non-parole period, later reduced to 20 years. The other teenagers received sentences ranging from 18 to 50 years, or were released under juvenile jurisdiction. Barbara Opel manipulated children, including her own, to commit murder. She used them as weapons. She destroyed their lives to save herself, and she showed no remorse. She will die in prison, and that is exactly what she deserves. Fifth case, Kathy and Raul Sarinana, the torture killers. 2 boys, 2 murders, 1 house of horrors. Conrad Morales, 13, and his younger brother Ricky, 11, were placed in the care of their aunt and uncle, Kathy and Raul Sarinana, after their mother was imprisoned and deported. The boys should have been safe. Instead, they were tortured, beaten, and murdered in one of the most horrific child abuse cases in Washington and California history. Kathy Lynn Sarinana was born on July 6, 1976. She and her husband, Raul, took in Conrad and Ricky when the boys had nowhere else to go. Child Protective Services in both Washington and California had received multiple complaints about the Sarinana's treatment of the children. But the system failed. The boys remained in their care. The abuse was systematic and sadistic. The boys were beaten with belts, fists, and household objects. They were burned with cigarettes. They were struck with electrical cords. They were confined in closets for hours. They were starved. And they were eventually killed. Conrad Morales was murdered around August 22, 2005, in Washington. His body was encased in concrete and stored in the carport when the family moved to Corona, California. On Christmas Day 2005, Ricky Morales was beaten for a minor discipline issue. He was confined to a closet where he died from massive internal injuries, including a torn lung, fractured ribs, and blunt trauma to his organs. The Sarinanas were arrested on December 26, 2005. Autopsies revealed the full extent of the torture: multiple healed and recent injuries, cigarette burns, electrical cord marks, genital injuries, and evidence of prolonged abuse. Both boys had been systematically tortured for months. At trial, the defense claimed the deaths were unintentional. Kathy's lawyers argued battered wife syndrome. Raul's lawyers cited stress and anger management issues. The juries rejected it all. Both Kathy and Raul Sarinana were convicted of first-degree murder and torture. Separate juries recommended the death penalty based on the prolonged, sadistic nature of the abuse. On June 26, 2009, Kathy Sarinana was sentenced to death. On July 2, 2009, Raul Sarinana was sentenced to death. Both remain on California's death row as of 2025. Conrad and Ricky Morales were children who deserved love, safety, and protection. Instead, they were tortured and murdered by the very people entrusted with their care. Their deaths are a stain on every system that failed them. Sixth case, Michelle Notek, the torturer of Raymond, December 18, 2003. Raymond, Washington. A small, quiet town where everyone knew their neighbors. But behind one unassuming house on the outskirts of town, horror had been unfolding for nearly a decade. A woman named Michelle Notek, 49 years old at the time of her arrest, had been hiding a dark secret, one that would shock the nation. Michelle Notek, born Michelle Watson in 1954, had always seemed friendly and approachable. Married to David Notek, she lived in a modest home where she and her husband took in boarders, strangers who needed a place to stay. But these strangers would soon discover that the Notek's house was no sanctuary. It was a prison. Her first known victim, Kathy Loreno, moved in with the Noteks in 1991. Loreno was a hairdresser, seeking a fresh start after a family dispute. But what should have been a safe haven became a nightmare. Over the years, she endured physical abuse at the hands of Michelle and her husband. She was beaten, humiliated, and controlled. When she disappeared in 1994, the Noteks claimed she had run away. Authorities initially believed it, but the truth was far darker. Shortly after Loreno vanished, Michelle's nephew, Shane Watson, also disappeared. Shane had documented some of the abuse Loreno suffered, and Michelle's fury at his actions turned deadly. Investigators later learned that David Notek shot Shane with a .22 caliber rifle at Michelle's direction and burned his body, scattering the ashes at a nearby beach. In 2001, a new boarder entered the Notek's home, 57-year-old Ronald Woodworth. Like Loreno, he was subjected to brutal abuse. Witnesses described shocking acts of torture, Woodworth being forced to jump from a second-story roof onto gravel, his feet burned with boiling water and bleach, and beaten for the slightest perceived offense. By the time he disappeared in 2003, the Noteks had taken yet another life, this time confirmed as murder after an autopsy. The Noteks' reign of terror came to an end on August 8, 2003, when authorities finally apprehended Michelle and David. During the investigation, they discovered a pattern of manipulation, cruelty, and cold-blooded murder. Michelle, dubbed by some the torturer of Raymond, had shown extreme indifference to human life, targeting vulnerable individuals who trusted her. In 2004, Michelle Notek entered an Alford plea, acknowledging the evidence against her without admitting guilt. She was convicted of second-degree murder and first-degree manslaughter and sentenced to 22 years in prison. Her husband, David, was sentenced to 15 years for his role in the murder of Shane Watson. Michelle served 18 years and was released on November 8, 2022, while David had been paroled years earlier in 2016. The Notex crimes shocked the nation, serving as a chilling reminder that danger doesn't always lurk in dark alleys. It can hide behind a smiling face, in the home of someone you think you can trust. Michelle Knotek's story is one of manipulation, cruelty, and the darkest extremes of human behavior, leaving a haunting legacy in the small town of Raymond, Washington. 7th case, December 24, 2007. Carnation, Washington. A quiet Christmas Eve in a rural town just east of Seattle. Twinkling lights, holiday cheer, and a darkness no one in this close-knit community could have imagined. Michelle Kristen Anderson, 29 years old, was the youngest daughter in the Anderson family. To the outside world, she appeared normal, someone who had grown up in this tranquil corner of Washington state. But behind that facade lay resentment, bitterness, and plans that would turn a joyful holiday into one of the most shocking family massacres in recent American history. On that fateful afternoon, Michelle and her boyfriend, Joseph Thomas McEnroe, armed themselves with handguns and drove to her parents' home in Carnation. Inside, Wayne Anderson, 60, was working quietly, and Judy Anderson, 61, was wrapping Christmas gifts for her grandchildren. What happened next was brutal and swift. According to investigations, Michelle attempted to shoot her father, but her weapon jammed. McEnroe stepped in and fatally shot Wayne. As Judy screamed in horror, he shot her too. With the first 2 victims dead, Michelle and McEnroe dragged their bodies outside before returning to wait. Hours later, Michelle's older brother Scott, his wife Erica, and their 2 young children, 5-year-old Olivia and 3-year-old Nathan, arrived for the family dinner. What should have been warmth and laughter turned into a calculated execution. All 6 members of 3 generations were shot in the head. Scott, Erica, Olivia, and Nathan joining Wayne and Judy among the dead before nightfall. In those final moments, Erica managed to dial 911, but the call cut off after only a few seconds. By the time police were dispatched, the killer and her accomplice had already locked the gate and disappeared. Their plan was to return later and feign shock at the discovery of the bodies, but they never got the chance. 2 days later, a friend of Judy Anderson, alarmed by her absence from work, glanced through a window and saw the carnage inside. She called 911, and the nightmare was exposed. Detectives were stunned. 6 bodies, all family members, all victims of a brutal, premeditated massacre. Michelle Anderson and McEnroe were arrested shortly afterward and eventually confessed to their roles in the massacre. Prosecutors argued the motive was pure, unadulterated greed, a financial dispute that led Michelle to turn on her own family. In 2016, Michelle was convicted of 6 counts of aggravated first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. McEnroe received the same punishment after his own conviction. The Carnation murders, 6 innocents killed on a night meant for celebration, remain one of the darkest family tragedies in Washington state history. A chilling reminder that evil can strike even where love should protect.